Kobe Trades. I want to do a video analysis update on some trending topics that were suggested for me: the Bitcoin halving and Nvidia. Oh, Ryan Garcia, how are you? Yeah, the Bitcoin halving and Nvidia. What's going on? The Kobisi letter. Nvidia is officially in bear market territory. Down 20% from its all-time highs seen just 1 month ago. The stock has erased a whopping $400 billion in market cap since March 8th. Meanwhile, a super microcomputer is now down 40% from its recent all-time high. Large cap chip stocks are falling just as quickly as they rallied over the last few months. Is AI hype beginning to fade? This is 193,000 views, almost 300 reposts, and 1.1K likes. This account has 493,000 followers. You know, I've actually had some thoughts about Nvidia before. On May 23rd of 2021, I said all eyes are on tech this week as Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Nvidia have each put in wave 2 lows and are set to stage a wave 3 rally higher. Time targets are 6 to 8 weeks. And I gave the invalidation levels. None of them were hit. And yes, these big wave 3 rallies did end up being the start of the 2021 tech melt-up. The largest cap stocks in the market that we were all told during each of these corrections. I think this was the Delta variant or one of them, right? Must be a one-hit wonder. Even just that rally numerous times with Nvidia. This was 16 likes. You see, that one had 427. It used to have like 460, 470 likes. The more that I reposted it, people liked it less and less. They got mad. This guy's, thinking he can predict the future, right? How does he know that all these tech stocks aren't going to crash because of the Delta variant? And Nvidia, again, December 9th of 2022, get all these losers out of the market. I don't give a flying F. Where will the gurus be when Nvidia holds 108 and blows past a new all-time high? The same place they were when it tripled from 115. Whatever, baby. I'm sure all these quants know what they're doing. Let's see. I think I was referring to someone named Wifey Alpha. Yeah, they used to have in their trading strategy, they nailed the Nvidia super top. 180,000 followers. Yeah, hot blonde girl. The Wifey index. They got a whole index fund. They must have flipped to bull. What in the world? They got an index fund? Wifey Alpha has an index fund. What in the world you got in here, Miss Alpha? Holy cow. Yep. That's you. That's your wife. I'm sure. Yep. Vacations by the beach. Yeah, eat really nice meals. Yep. Oh, yeah. Cocktails at a different beach. Ooh. Lovely couple. Yeah. They haven't really made any uncanny. Well, I guess they did make an uncanny Nvidia prediction. They claim they called this top right here, and they're living off that. Looks like, man, they're in the Bahamas. They're starting their own index funds. Great to you. Congrats to the happy couple. What's going on with Bitcoin? Bitcoin was trending. Yeah, we probably don't have any of those crash posts anymore, but I'm sure they were there. Yeah, we've got all these bots now. Iran and yeah, that's really good analysis. 462 likes from the veteran Bob Lucas. I don't know. Not a bad strategy with YBTC. How many followers does Bob Lucas have? 274,000. You know, why don't you just go play blackjack? Anyway, let's look at some of my posts about Bitcoin. They're a little more specific. You know, I like to put people on. You know, a lot of people, they make millions of dollars counter trading me. If I post about a stock, they'll short it and they'll hold it forever until I say to sell it. That's what they did with Nvidia and Microsoft and Apple and Google and Facebook. Well, Facebook wasn't that many times. The NASDAQ, the S&P. They're making millions, man. So, yeah. What happened? Yeah. We had someone who makes millions off of me. They make millions off of me shorting the stocks that I talk about. It's called counter trading. I talk about a stock, they just go short it. They hold it forever. So they're still holding Nvidia shorts, Coinbase shorts, Bitcoin shorts, Microsoft shorts from numerous cycles, AMD shorts. They're making millions. So I had to let them know, hey guys, I'm loading up BITO. I'm loading up Bitcoin here. I think there's an ABC correction ending. Right around in just about the same time I was saying, hey, you know, what's going on with Nvidia? Not even close to my most recent or only cycle about Bitcoin. That's what I thought. And that's why my next tweet is going to be that I'm holding on to BITO because I think Bitcoin is nesting. BITO formed a large wave 1 and 2 from the 310.23 low and ended a small wave 2 at the 61.8 to 78.6% retracement. Over 13.42, wave 3 to 20.42 can occur. And then 3 months later, again, clarifying the post, you know, updating it. We don't get it all perfect on the right. You know, the very first post. So I updated 3 months later. Yeah, this correction ended up being wave A. We did get a counter trend rally for wave B. And then we had a wave C correction right back to the 61.8 to 78.6% retracement. So I came right down there. I said, yep, ABC for BITO. And, of course, that's because I was long BITO, collecting huge dividends from BITO. And all those updates about NVIDIA were because I was long NVDY. And NVDY didn't update until the summer of 2023. But as I was updating NVIDIA, which led to this chart, I was holding NVDY. And it was a pretty large position. And I was collecting massive dividends from that. And I still collect massive dividends from that. And that position is completely paid for with its cost basis because I had researched the option strategies underlying those ETFs. And, you know, NVIDIA was one of the best performing ones, still in the lines of Coinbase. You know, I've had multiple multiple times this year. February 7th in the past year, in the past 6 months. Why I'm positioned for Coinbase to begin a parabolic move. And of course, the reason that I was covering Coinbase was because I was buying CONY, another one of my best investments, another one where I took a pretty large position, and it basically has paid for its entire self. It's paid for its entire cost basis and dividends already. So every month for the rest of my life, I get a huge dividend from Nvidia and Coinbase option premium as long as they don't go to zero. House money. So that's why I was covering these stocks. And I've got about 4,780 subscribers. We've seen an uptick. And I've got about 25,700 YouTube subscribers. So a lot of people, they say they, want to know what's going on in the stock market. But there's a lot of clear evidence that the people who are actually talking about what's going on in the stock market, what's going to happen in the stock market, and those are just a few examples of the entire, investable market. All the large caps, the mid caps, just completely been calling, and that's because I've become one of the best Elliott wave theorists and market technical analysts, and I believe the best quantitative analyst in the world. And that wasn't, something that's very sexy, and it's not, it's not the crash porn that you're gonna see. I didn't post pictures of my, some hot woman and say, the market's about to crash. I called the Nvidia top every day for however many days in a row. I must have finally gotten in 2022. I kept that in my bio during this entire time, and now I got an index fund, and I'm getting X checks, and they don't really care. It's not about the stock market. And you know what the thing is? Most people know that. Most people know it's just entertainment. I like that I don't have that many subscribers. I like that I'm updating Nvidia and Bitcoin, and that I am the greatest Elliott wave theorist in the world. If people actually wanted to know what's going on with Nvidia and Bitcoin, they'd be watching these videos. They'd be subscribed to me, but they aren't. You guys are, so you're going to get to know. This is my completely untouched naked chart of Nvidia. We had, this was kind of the zone I was looking for. We kind of shot past what would be a wave 5 target. So we shot past what would be a wave 5 target. But I did know, based on the equal legs principle, which is why I had these lines out here, that the equal legs principle, the length of, is really just whatever these distinct waves are. Whether it was the length of wave 3 placed at the wave 4 low for wave 5, or the length of the wave 1 placed at the wave 2 low for wave 3, that was going to be an important area. So I did know that was going to be an important level. We're there right now, and so we're going to talk about what I think this count is, why I'm going to keep holding NVDY, and why I may even add some more in the future. So I'm going to start with Nvidia. We're going to get this cleared up for a sec. So from this low in that post, get all these losers out of Nvidia. Where are the quants going to be when it blows past an all-time high? Of course, you guys know the answer. Let me know in the comments what the answer to that question ended up being. So what's going on here? It appears that a large wave 3 is still in progress. In this large picture, what the count was 1, 2, 3, and by the way, very similar thing with Nvidia, with AMD. 5, that was 5 waves up. This wave 2 went down to the 78.6% retracement, so it was that basic 5-3-5 sequence. 5 waves up. An ABC correction for wave 2. And then from this low, I believe this large wave 3 is subdivided into 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to keep holding Nvidia, and I'm going to tell you why. NVDY. I'm going to keep holding that, and I might keep adding to that. The total returns for that ETF, I took a very large, for my portfolio, pretty large position in Nvidia when it dropped. And so these are the total returns. I didn't reinvest every dividend, but what I've done is I've used these as asset accumulators. I take these large dividends and I use them to accumulate more safe and stable things, and also to reinvest in the really high earners and a lot of the cool ETFs and awesome ETFs that have come out since Nvidia dropped, some of them from Yield Max. So this is a better representation of what I did. I took a large position in Nvidia, and then I just collected most of the dividends. I reinvested some of them, got a pretty large capital gain. And for Coinbase, I did a very similar thing with Coinbase and Pony, except for Coinbase, I did add a good amount of commons, roughly 33% commons. So my Nvidia position's already paid for itself. I'm going to keep holding it. And the reason I'm going to keep holding it, at least one of the reasons I think I'm going to keep holding it, is because I think that this is a wave 5 that I'm expecting. It's going to be, and we're going to zoom into the weekly chart now. So this RSI is where a lot of the evidence that this is a wave 1 and a wave 2 comes from. So let's look at this weekly chart. And recall that in Elliott Wave, there's a rule that says wave 5 ends with momentum divergence. Excuse me, on this monthly chart, I meant to have the subdivision on the weekly. Yeah. So I believe that the start of the cycle is really right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up, wave 1, and ABC correction, wave 2. It should be noted that if it was taken all the way out as a very long-term cycle, that this was wave 1 and wave 2. For the intents and purposes of this count, it doesn't matter, because I'm looking for the subdivision of this wave 3, and it's clearly a wave 3 per the rules of Elliott wave theory, because it goes well past the 161.8% extension, regardless of where it's anchored from. So the focus for me is within the cycle from this low on the weekly chart. So I'm going to dissect that right now. And it should be noted that this is considered time travel. This isn't possible. People believe that things are baked in. I've made it look very easy. I've made it look very routine. Because I've become the greatest technical analyst in the world. In the same way you see Steph Curry shoot amazing shots, and you just wonder if it's, just like snapping his fingers for him. And it's no, a lot of practice and a lot of work went into doing that. A little magic and a little magnetism even. 392.30 is that low. And this high is 974.0. I'm going to take the 50% and the 38.2. Now, Nvidia is pretty volatile. I'm going to use this wave 4 invalidation as the 50% fib. But Nvidia is pretty volatile. So sometimes the wave 4 can go down to the 61.8% retracement. I think that the proper invalidation for the RR is 683.15 because it's the 38.2 to 50% retracement zone. Looking at this correction from this high, taking the fibs from the daily for what an ABC would look like, it's right at the 161.8% retracement. I think that's another interesting aspect of what may be capitulation. And I think the bear argument to understand is really important. What's the bear argument? It's the Nvidia, just formed some blow off top. Wave theory is not going to work, and this bubble is going to pop. So that's why it's important to remember that I own NVDY. It's selling out of the money synthetic covered calls on Nvidia, and I've collected so many dividends from that because I got in a little less than a year ago with a pretty large position that it's already paid for itself in the form of dividends. So I'll collect dividends from that are on the house until Nvidia goes bankrupt. So anyway, I believe that this is a wave 1 and a wave 2. A lot of the evidence for that comes from this weekly RSI. From this cycle, there's a rule in Elliott wave theory that says wave 5 ends with momentum divergence. If I started this cycle and I look at the weekly RSI, there's a clear wave 1 and wave 2. Wave 3 makes the highest reading on the weekly RSI, not just within this cycle, but also within the entire cycle from the 2018 low. So that's where I believe that it starts. But even going all the way through Nvidia's chart, I believe this is the highest weekly RSI reading ever since at least 2010. So there's a rule in Elliott wave theory that says wave 5 ends with momentum divergence. This is the biggest wave within Nvidia's entire chart history. So I believe it's clearly a new cycle within this December 2022 low that I perfectly called using Elliott wave theory, the 535 sequence, the 61.8 to 78.6% retracement of a 5 waves impulse, and also all the readings on the straddle and strangle screen suggesting the institutions were using long gamma positions to accumulate. And then later on, NVIDIA's leveraged ETFs and NVIDIA's single stock ETFs continued to kind of provide guidance for the move. But within the entire cycle, this is the highest reading. So I believe this is, and just within Elliott wave theory, for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves impulse, wave 3 is typically the largest wave, almost always. It makes the highest reading on the RSI within the entire cycle, and it's followed by an ABC correction that ends between the 38.2 to 50% retracement. Now, Nvidia is volatile, so I will say seeing the 61.8% retracement hit would not be the craziest thing in the world. I'm going to keep holding NVDY, though, because I think eventually this correction is going to get bought. Then the target for wave 5 is the length of wave 1 or the length of wave 3, placed at the wave 4 low. So that would give an equal legs target to, just over 1,000, 1,100. So I'm going to keep holding NVIDIA. I'm going to keep collecting these large premiums. And it's really important to understand I'm collecting premiums. NVIDIA's implied volatility is very high. And since it's had this large move, over time, its call premiums are also very high. And I'm in a position that's house money right now. So I'm going to keep collecting these, and for a long time, even if Nvidia does top out, at some point, I'm going to keep collecting these premiums. I think this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up. To be honest, I think even if Nvidia gets up to 1,100, it's just going to end a large degree wave 3. There's going to be lots of consolidation, lots of chop, but then yes, one day, another high. That sounds like a lot of dividends to me, and it looks like a lot of dividends to me that I collect. So it's not just Nvidia that's been a massive winner. Bitcoin's been a crazy winner of mine. BITO, Coinbase, I've covered a lot, so I'm going to spare you guys Coinbase. I've been buying YBTC recently, and I'm holding BITO. So all of this analysis affects exactly what I do. BITO, I've been, a big vocal on, and, telling you guys how I'm updating my position and what I'm doing. I called the Ethereum supercycle low and the Bitcoin supercycle low for the second time. I also did that in 2020 and 2021. Anyway, that's all been very rewarding financially, and it's allowed me to make videos like this that are completely free. But the truth is, if people wanted to know what was actually going on with Bitcoin, they'd be following me. And here's proof of that. Here's my untouched Bitcoin chart. What's this look like? It's hard to see because so much price action has happened. This is the last time I showed you guys Bitcoin. I said an ABC correction was ending. I said a ABC correction had ended, and this was a wave 1 and a wave 2, and Bitcoin was entering a wave 3 of wave 3. So this is my untouched chart of Bitcoin. It was on the monthly that it was posted, so the weekly looks a little messy. I'm going to clean it up for this video, and I'm going to go clear. So I think Bitcoin from the cycle forms a large wave 1. And a wave 2. And then from this low, very similar to Nvidia, the highest reading on the entire weekly RSI from this cycle is made with this wave 3 high. So I'm going to keep holding BITO, Coinbase, and Coney. I covered that in my last video. I've collected massive premiums and dividends from all of those. But I believe what's going on, very similar to Nvidia, is a wave 4 corrections ending. It's the highest reading on the RSI. It's the largest wave within the cycle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up. So I like these high premiums. I bought YBTC. And YBTC, they're a little different than, they're really, I think it's really cool because they don't run. If we look at YBTC's options, I like how close the option window is. They're selling a very slightly out of the money option. They're getting their synthetic exposure with a strike price of, say, 32.15 that they buy the call and they sell the at the money put for, and then they sell an out of the money call that's just a little further out of the money, less than $2, and they're just taking advantage of this systematic, milking this expiration where it's better to, within the most recent 30 days, the next 30 days towards expiration, those options expire extremely fast, exponentially fast. And so they're just taking advantage of kind of that option Greek principle of getting the synthetic out of the money exposure with 3-month options and then selling the out of the money call. They're getting the synthetic 100 delta exposure. The way that they're doing that is they're buying a 32.15 call and they're selling the 32.15 put. So this call has a delta of 50. This put has a delta of negative 50, but they're selling it negative plus negative is a positive, positive 50, positive 50, 100 delta. They use that to sell an out of the money covered call against, which is this 33.75 strike. So it's pretty close to the at the money strikes that they're using to get the 100 delta exposure. And I like kind of the way they set this up where these options expire in 3 months. These are the front months. And the yield's been pretty huge. The total returns have been pretty huge. As always, I go to the ETF total return calculator. My preferred way to analyze YBTC is way too early to be, really telling, but just the total returns have been for this ETF. If I would have blindly averaged into it, yes, it would have been during a super bull market, but they'd be 182%. And for some people who think these high dividends are impossible, Nvidia blindly averaging 148%. Some of these, even Clip, the Crane Shares covered call ETF for China, you would think that that's been doing pretty bad, blindly averaging into it. Not quite the case. YieldMax has had an interesting ETF. It has YMax that's running all of their funds, the synthetic covered calls grouped together, trying to be a little more diversified and reduce that portfolio volatility. I think it's yielding about 33% right now. Looking at QQQ, Blindly averaging into that was a 52% return. Blindly averaging into QQQ was only a 20% return. Maybe, Yield Max is onto something. FEPI, a lot of these funds. Just destroying this myth that income is impossible to achieve in the stock market. That there's always, that's something that 2022, while it created a lot of gurus who can make money from their X checks, so they don't have to actually, know anything about what they're talking about. They can just, post pictures of daiquiris and, whatever their vacations, because they know they're getting their premium from, revenue, subscription services, X checks, and stuff like that. Twitter's being financially incentivized to, promote their stuff because they're premiums, verified, whatever members, but I, get to do stuff like this. I get to, make Bitcoin incredible predictions, large market cap, incredible predictions look easy. I get to collect huge dividends from, ETFs in the options market and live off them and see them grow exponentially, and take these high beta, high premium dividends and use them to funnel that money into much safer things, more correlated with, my spending and inflation and stuff like that. So 38,589.97. Oops. I forgot a digit. There we go. And this high is 73,662.76. So same thing with Nvidia. 38.2 to 50% retracement. I think 56.126 is the invalidation. But just like Nvidia, I will keep holding it if it goes to the 61.8% retracement, because wave 4 is for these really volatile holdings can see the 161.8% extension hit. Sorry, they can see the 61.8% extension retracement hit for wave 4. So yeah, let me just say that one more time. For high beta stocks, I think that this is a large wave 1 and a wave 2. I believe this is a large wave 3 for a few reasons. And I think that this is subdivided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves. The reason I think that is because from this low, this is a wave 1 and wave 2. I perfectly successfully predicted that. So I'm not really sure how much more, I could show you guys that. I showed this guy that on June and September, exactly that same thing, and I reiterated it in September. I also, reiterated why I was buying Coney in September, and I also reiterated why I thought Coinbase was going to go parabolic in September. So I'm not sure how much proof I can give, and it's obvious past performance never indicates future results. This isn't investment advice, and this is for parody in entertainment purposes only. I'm not speaking for any of the creators mentioned in this video, but they have put themselves out there that they, might know stuff about the stock market that's important. And I just think that as far as the numbers go for what they're following is what they've proven they know about the stock market, in my opinion, it's complete jack shit. And for me, I'm probably the best forecaster that's ever lived, just objectively. Microstrategy, very similar to what I was saying. I think this is a large wave 1 and wave 2. So I'm thinking about buying MSTY with my end of month dividends. MSTY is the new Yield Max covered call ETF. We're right around the 61.8% retracement. Very interesting spot for MicroStrategy. But yeah, so just, an update for me again. 1, 2, wave 3, highest reading on the weekly RSI. Are you about to see me, do Bitcoin and Nvidia and all of them perfectly again. Maybe. But what I will tell you is, regardless of what happens, I'm going to make an extraordinary amount of income and premium from this. I'm going to take all that premium and I'm going to invest in closed-end funds that track markets, that track holdings that are directly tied to my bills. Examples of that would be RQI and a real estate closed-end fund, UTG, a utilities closed-end fund. BCX is a commodities closed-end fund, and debt holdings. I'm not in debt, but more stabilized things in the market. HYGW, running the buy right on HYG from BlackRock. CLOZ, the Panagram Collateralized Loan Obligation ETF, is something I'm trying to build, and I always build my bond allocation, my government bond allocation, and make sure the stability and the inflation plays are at least always going to be there, while the funny money from Bitcoin and Nvidia premiums and Coinbase premiums and pretty soon Microstrategy premiums keep coming in. Anyway, that's a fancy way of saying, I think that Microstrategy and Bitcoin and Nvidia are all kind of setting up for a similar Wave 5 setup. I plan to collect large premiums from all of them. I think, but I do not know, that I'm going to be correct. I'm going to make an amazing prediction once again, and my income has already passed my bills. By the time this prediction comes right, we're going to be a lot further than that.